Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. Melao, melamba, sus mis pocolos de negras caras.
Welcome everyone who's watching on YouTube. We're just going to wait a couple minutes while people are joining and then we'll get started.
Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, que por la encendida calle antillana. Rumba macumba candón de bámbula y rumba macumba candón de bámbula, rumba macumba candón de bámbula, ay rumba macumba candón de bámbula, rumba macumba, rumba macumba candón de bámbula, rumba macumba candón de bámbula, rumba macumba candón de bámbula, baten bandumba de la quimbamba.
Sí, cuando tú quieras. Hacemos algo.
Salí de Santurce para el pueblo de Mayagüez, pero me dijeron que no llegara a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué. Salgo de Arecibo para el pueblo de Mayagüez, pero me dijeron que no llegara a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, porque hay una negra que cuando fue la puro café ponía a los hombres arrastrándose hasta sus pies a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, ni por 20 reales yo no voy a la Verdegué, 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 a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, por causa de Juana que le llaman la Mayombe. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué. Llegué a Dulce Labio a la casa de Andrés Laguer, pero me dijeron que no llegara a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué.
Welcome everyone on Zoom and YouTube. We're just waiting a few minutes if people are joining the call and we'll get started soon.
¿Qué voy a hacer? Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, porque hay una bruja que le llaman la Mayombe, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, por eso no quiero yo llegar hasta Mayagüez, por no encontrarme, señor, con la Mayombe. A la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué. Salí para Ponce, para la casa de Isabel, pero me dijeron que no llegara a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué, a la Verdegué. Mi mamá no quiere que yo vaya a la Verdegué. Esa, dominé, esa, dominé, esa, dominé, mi Salvatore de viva muerte. Esa, dominé, esa, dominé, esa, dominé, mi Salvatore.
Veronica, are you ready to get started? Should I stop the music? Yeah, okay.
Hey everyone, thank you all so much for being here. I'm just going to share my screen with you. We're going to get started in just a minute, and it's Veronica's show. But before we do that, sorry, I'm just going to really quickly talk a little bit about Cloud Cafe. First of all, I'm just so amazed that Veronica has put this event together. We were so grateful when she agreed to do this with us, and then when she told us that Jorge, Roberto, and Gloria were all going to play, I think we were all just amazed, and I'm so excited for this, so I'm not going to talk for too long. I'm so excited to see people tuning in. There's people on Zoom and on YouTube, and it's great to have you all here. Before we do that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background around what Cloud Cafe is, and then also a little bit about how to use Zoom for this event. Cloud Cafe is a virtual performance series and fundraiser for artists who have lost work during the pandemic. Each event is curated by a different artist and uses streaming platforms in creative ways to replicate the feeling of watching a performance in a room full of people. All of our performances are free, but we are asking for donations so that we can pay these incredible artists appropriately for their work. 100% of the donations that we raise tonight will go directly to the artists who are performing and curating the events. For those of you who are calling in from Zoom, there isn't too much you need to know about how to use the software, but I'll really quickly lay out the basic things just in case people haven't been on Zoom these last few months. So all of your screens should look like this right now. We ask that you all keep your microphones muted and your cameras off during the performances, unless the artists tell you to do otherwise, just to make sure that we can concentrate on the artists. The buttons to turn your camera and microphone on and off are down here in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You should also know how to toggle back and forth between speaker view and gallery view. In speaker view, you will only see the person who's performing, and in gallery view, you will see everybody in the call. You can switch back and forth by clicking the button in the upper right corner. And throughout the night, we're going to have a number of performances when it might make sense to be in speaker view, but we're also going to have some Q&A discussions where you might want to be able to see everyone in the room. You can also access the chat and reaction features by clicking those buttons on the bar at the bottom of the screen. Before we move forwards, I also want to acknowledge that everybody who's calling in from what is now known as the United States are occupying land that was taken through force and displacement from indigenous peoples. I'm going to read this land acknowledgement that we adapted from one that was originally written by Keita Sullivan. We believe that one of the roles of the arts is to make the invisible visible. We also believe that it is not the responsibility of those who have been made invisible to remind us that they are still here. I want to acknowledge that the ground on which I am located is the traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Wampanoag, and Nipmuc people. We honor their ancestors, past, present, and future, and recognize their continued existence and contributions to our society. We would also like to welcome those of you who came to this land by choice and those who did not. All are welcome in this space today. Although we are meeting in virtual space, it is vital that we also acknowledge that not only are we tied to the lands that we are currently on, but we are also tied to all lands because we are consuming resources through our cables and electricity, through our use of natural gas and heating oils while we are watching from home. At this time, we invite you all to share the indigenous land that you are calling in from. If you do not know the tribal sovereignty of your land, you can find this at www.native-land.ca. And I'll give people just a couple of moments to look that up. And if you want to post it in the chat, either on Zoom or on YouTube, feel free to do that. We'd love to see where people are calling in from. Okay, I'm gonna move on, but please continue to look that up and learn more about the land that you're living on. I want to reiterate again that if you're able to support these amazing artists, even small donations go a long way in helping artists continue to make their work, which is so important right now. All of the donations that we receive tonight will be split evenly amongst the artists who are performing in Cloud Cafe events in July. We know that not everybody will be able to donate, but if you do have a couple of dollars to share, we would be so appreciative. If you go to our website, cloudcafearts.org, you will find a link to a GoFundMe page where we are collecting donations. Also, if you have Venmo, you can send me that money directly at derek.schwartz-3. And I think Lily's gonna put that in the chat. And I'm gonna split all of the money that we receive evenly amongst the artists. GoFundMe and Eventbrite actually do take a cut of our donations. So if you have Venmo and that's a convenient way to send money, that is the best way to make sure that all the money is going directly to the artists. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Veronica because this is her event and we're so excited to be here with you.
Thank you, Derek. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this amazing opportunity for all of us, the artists, local artists, to gather together virtually and take the advantage of this opportunity that we can not only talk about, sensitive issues, but also share our music. And today, I'm honored to count with two legends from Puerto Rico and talking and enjoying about the beautiful culture. So Latino Afro Descendants, I'm gonna be speaking English and Spanish, and hopefully we have some Spanish speakers too joining us today. And thank you all of those that are only speaking English and Spanish, both of us. We're gonna try to do a bilingual presentation. Excuse our English sometimes. So I'm gonna start with in Spanish. Latino Afro Descendientes es una serie de presentaciones y un foro para facilitar las conversaciones comunitarias que permiten a los artistas y miembros de la comunidad expresar sus sentimientos y preocupaciones sobre las situaciones actuales en torno al racismo e injusticia sistemáticos, y que también queremos tratar de apoyar y promover la equidad, la diversidad, la inclusión y la accesibilidad a los artistas y a las comunidades de color. Queremos utilizar las artes de esta manera. This is a series of performances and a forum to facilitate community conversation, allowing artists and community members to express their feelings and concerns about current situation around systematic racism, injustice, and we want to help to advance equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. Those words are sometimes hard for me. Accessibility to artists and communities of color. We know as artists we have a great power to conquer hearts, and I think with our work we can also mobilize people to be able to change what is wrong for right. En este primer episodio contaremos con el honor de la participación de grandes exponentes de la cultura afro-puertorriqueña, el multifacético artista y educador Jorge Arce. Él es un gran maestro y gran exponente de la Plena, la bomba aquí. Es un educador que tiene muchísimos años tratando de promover la diversidad y educar a las personas también en este mismo tema. También vamos a contar con el maestro Roberto Cepeda, que viene de una gran historia familiar en donde ellos se han asegurado de que la bomba y la Plena sean reconocidas a nivel internacional. También vamos a contar con la presencia de otra gran activista y educadora, la maravillosa Gloria López Cepeda, quien es también la esposa de don Roberto, y juntos conversaremos de su afrodescendencia y también disfrutaremos de su hermosa música. In this first episode, we will have the honor to chat and enjoy the dance and music of multi-talented artist and educator Jorge Arce, the master of the bomba Don Roberto Cepeda, and the educator and activist Gloria López Cepeda. They are the most authentic exponents of the Afro-Puerto Rican culture here in the region, and they have traveled all over the world, making sure that bomba and Plena are recognized. Together, we will talk about their African descent and celebrate their culture. Para comenzar, quise escoger un video de otra gran exponente latinoamericana de las raíces afrodescendientes. Ella es doña Victoria Eugenia Santa Cruz, quien fue coreógrafa. Ella fue compositora y una gran activista afroperuana. Ella compuso este poema cuando se dio cuenta, después de haber nacido en un barrio de blancos como negra, pues no había sentido la diferencia hasta que una niña blanca vino y dijo, yo no juego con esa negra. Y entonces ahí fue donde ella reaccionó y dijo, ¿qué es ser negra? En respuesta a esta acción, a esta experiencia, compuso este tema que es muy relevante en estos momentos y que también es se conecta con todos los afrodescendientes de Latinoamérica y del mundo. To begin, we will share this video with a poem entitled They Yell at Me Black by Victoria Eugenia Santa Cruz, who was a choreographer, composer, and Afro-Peruvian activist. She wrote this poem in response to an experience that she had she was born on a white neighborhood in Peru. She was Afro-Peruvian, she was Black, but until that experience, she noticed that she was Black and that she was different, and that some people will try to avoid her because of her color. And this is a very general poem that touches everybody's heart, all people from Latinos that are Afro-descendants. So that's why I choose this piece, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's go with the video Me Gritaron Negra by Victoria Santa Cruz, cortesía de Music MGP.
Tenía 7 años apenas 7 años. ¿Qué 7 años? No llegaba a 5 siquiera. De pronto unas voces en la calle me gritaron ¡Negra! 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 ¿Soy acaso negra? Me dije. ¡Sí! ¿Qué cosa es ser negra? ¡Negra! Yo no sabía la triste verdad que aquello escondía. ¡Negra! Y me sentí negra. ¡Negra! Como ellos decían. ¡Negra! Y retrocedí. ¡Negra! Como ellos querían. ¡Negra! Yo odié mis cabellos y mis labios gruesos y miré apenada mi carne tostada y retrocedí. ¡Negra! Y retrocedí. ¡Negra! 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 Y pasaba el tiempo, y siempre amargada, seguía llevando a mi espalda mi pesada carga. ¡Y cómo pesaba! Me alacé el cabello, me polvé la cara, y entre mis entrañas siempre resonaba la misma palabra. ¡Negra! 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 Hasta que un día que retrocedía y que iba a caer. ¡Negra! 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 ¿Qué? ¿Y qué? ¡Negra! ¡Sí! ¡Negra! ¡Soy! ¡Negra! ¡Negra! ¡Negra soy! ¡Negra! ¡Sí! ¡Negra! ¡Soy! ¡Negra! ¡Negra! ¡Negra soy! Y hoy en adelante no quiero laciar mi cabello. ¡No quiero! Y voy a reírme de aquellos que por evitar, según ellos, que por evitarnos algún sinsabor, llaman a los negros gente de color. ¿Y de qué color? ¡Negro! ¿Y qué lindo suena? ¡Negro! ¿Y qué ritmo tiene? ¡Negro, negro, 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 negro! ¡Al fin! ¡Así comprendí! ¡Al fin! ¡Ya no retrocedo! ¡Al fin! ¡Y avanzo segura! ¡Al fin! ¡Avanzo y espero! ¡Al fin! ¡Y bendigo al cielo porque quito Dios que negro hasta bache fuerte mi color y ya comprendí! ¡Al fin! ¡Ya tengo la llave! ¡Negro, negro, 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 negro!
Así es. Victoria. Es increíble cada vez que veo este video, se me enchina la piel y no soy negra. Es una cosa maravillosa, es un aporte a la humanidad muy importante que podamos tener esta joya disponible para todos nosotros. This is amazing to have the opportunity to have that gem in the video with this amazing poem that makes me goosebumps. It makes me really feel, you know, the core of the pain of being rejected because you have a certain color, or because you speak a certain language, and or because you are from a different lifestyle, because you have money or you don't have money. So all of those things are something that we have to eradicate from this world. But now let's move on, and let me introduce you to my dear friend, Jorge Arce, with a long life experience. Jorge is a master keeper of the Plena and Bomba tradition. Half of Jorge's family comes from San Anton, mainly a black community from the African tradition of bomba music. The other half comes from the music tradition. His life in the barrio in Belgica was filled with Plena music. This experience, among other things, has contributed to his creativity, and he has produced and presented educational programs and shows locally and internationally. Con la experiencia de toda la vida, Jorge Arce es un maestro de la tradición de la bomba y la plena. La mitad de la familia de Jorge proviene de San Antón, principalmente una comunidad negra conocida por la tradición africana de la música bomba. La otra mitad proviene de la tradición musical de su familia. Su vida en el barrio de Bélgica estuvo llena de música de plena, todo el tiempo con la plena. Esta experiencia, entre otras cosas, han contribuido a desarrollar y presentar programas educacionales y presentaciones artísticas a nivel nacional. Jorge, it is a great pleasure and an honor to have you here. Estamos súper emocionados y es un honor para nosotros poder presentarte hoy en esta edición de Afro Descendientes, los latinos afrodescendientes.
Gracias, gracias. Para mí también es un honor estar aquí contigo, que has hecho un trabajo tremendo, y compartir con Roberto y con Gloria, que son mis hermanos y con los cuales hemos llevado ya muchos años y tratando de hacer nuestro aporte serio, especialmente a Roberto, que admiro tanto, a Gloria, que es tremenda.
Sí, para mí yo dije, Dios mío, cuando vamos a hacer algo, desafortunadamente a veces la modernidad y todo esto nuevo que se va presentando en nuestra sociedad, se olvidan a veces que estas leyendas que tenemos en nuestro neighborhood aquí, con nosotros, viviendo con nosotros, y hay que aprovecharlas. Pues yo, para mí, voy a tener el honor de siempre decir que los conocí, que fueron mis amigos, que estuvimos juntos, que aprendí de ellos. Y eso es una maravilla, y te agradecemos mucho por estar contigo. Queremos mostrar un video de una obra que tú realizaste aquí en Boston, con gente de Boston, y que también Gloria y nuestro maestro Roberto participaron. Háblame un poquito acerca de eso.
Bueno, es un proyecto que yo diría que es un proyecto culminante en mi vida artística, tanto aquí como en Puerto Rico. Ya que recoge, yo creo que en gran parte, en cierta forma, lo que somos nosotros como puertorriqueños y como afrodescendientes, teniendo una historia. Cuando se habla de afrodescendencia, es bien importante aclarar. It's very important to really clarify that to be Afro-descendant in our case includes more than just West Africa, including that there's East Africa, also North Africans. That's why half of my family is from the Hibaro music, that is the country music that has a strong influence from the North African part, and from the West African, that is the part of my mother. So my father represents the Hibaro music and the country music, and my mother represents the West African. So all that is to be Afro-descendant. To to be Afro-Puerto Rican. It's very important to clarify that it's very wide, the concept.
Yeah.
El concepto es bien amplio.
And we're
No
gonna
solamente
dig into that after the video, because we wanna show a video of one of the presentations that you created with local people going through the roots, but also hip hop and other music styles that had the influence.
It's very important to mention that young people like my daughter, she was in charge of the actually produced that with me, and she was in charge of the theater part. She wrote 2 beautiful pieces that I was able to direct. I was so proud to direct them as a director, as a theater director. And also people like Roberto and Gloria, who is another generation, Marcia Parrilla, who is a young generation in the contemporary dance. And so that's why we have this wide range of that represents what is Puerto Rico now from Boston, from Boston view, but to how we are. That's why we will continue to be the same way, and we will keep growing in that direction, respecting what we are, where we come from.
Exactly, and that is important because if we educate our community about how we are related in so many ways, that will help us to a better understanding of each other, and so that also help our community locally. So I think having these forums and just to showcase those things that we have in common, it's one of the best ways that we can do as an artist. So right now I would like to invite the people to watch this brief video about this presentation that was called
Esto es Puerto Rico. This is Puerto Rico, the musical. It happened in November 16 last year, 2019, my birthday, actually.
Okay. Bueno, pues vamos entonces a ver este video de Jorge. Y so Derek, you ready? Let's play the video.
Esto es porque Sister of Volcanic Love.
Ay. Oh my God! Gloria.
This hurricane is coming. This storm is not waiting. Gobernador de Puerto Rico.
Oye, tenemos que estar parando para la tormenta. Es que está brutal. I bought some food from the shop, but let's go to the supermarket. We'll get everything we need. We need water. I told you to cut it out. This is not fair for the people.
Eso es. Muy bien. Es mucho trabajo. That's a lot of work. Being an artist, being a producer, provide for the family. Es muy difícil ser artista, ser productor y también proveer para la familia. Now I have the questions, Jorge. I'm going to start with my questions. And these questions, probably I will ask it. I will ask these same questions to the people that is watching right now. So please listen to these questions and think about it. What it means for you to be Black? When did you find out that you were Black?
Well, I found out about that since I was a child.
Right, of course. But what was the difference like? Did you
Well,
notice the difference?
I grew up in a very cohesive community in a way. We didn't look at colors, even though racism is there in Puerto Rico and like in everywhere. But in our neighborhood, it was not a common thing to look at colors. But as soon as we got consciousness, like about Black is Beautiful that came from Malcolm X, and so many things that came through Martin Luther King that we were looking at from Puerto Rico, all these events, and then the things that were happening there made us more conscious and more critical mind about what we're having around, how things were hidden and were there. So it made us more conscious. And also, even though you could feel that since I was a child, because they could talk about the big lips, the big lips, they try to make you, hide your lips that are African lips, or talk about bad hair when bad hair doesn't exist.
Yes.
Just because you were looking at the African hair, pelo malo, pero kinky, all those racist denomination that came from where, including I question about, even though we look at it in a very positive way, about the word negro that come from negro, that word that terms created by the slavers. And actually, I was mentioning to you that I have a great book in all my research and investigation. Great book called The Africans by Ali Masrui. There's a quote, there is a citing as what is said, what said a slaver in the 16th century about condemning all Black people. You are Black, you're gonna be Black, and no matter what, you're condemned to be Black. I mean, I'm paraphrasing the quote actually, but that's the charge of that phrase. So showing us that it was, basically, when you get the idea that when they, the people from North Europe, they came into Africa, they came with that concept of Black and white. They created that just to divide people. So it is a construction. It's not a real thing, and we go over that. That's why I decided at a point, especially when I started creating presentation on this subject and this necessary theme, I started redefining things with African American, Afro Puerto Rican, and Afro Latino, because Africa is very wide. It's very wide in terms conceptually, in terms of knowledge. The first university was in Timbuktu of the world, and so many important things, elements that you find there from North Africa, from the Arabic part of it, to the West Africa, to the East Africa, because in Puerto Rico we had people from Mozambique, from the East Africa. It's not only West Africa, and especially in my hometown, along with the Congo people, it came people from Mozambique. So that's very important, how that brings us a very wide perspective, including considering that's including Spain, because when we talk about Spain, we label that like as a white country. It's not. It's an Arabic country. The Muslim in the 600 year, when they conquered Spain, they conquered the south of Europe, and they defeated the Romans. And basically, Portugal and Spain was called originally Al-Andalusia, was an Arabic country. basically. And that's why the influence of Marruecos, this instrument that's called the guitar, that is Arabic originally, the cuatro in Puerto Rico that we use came from the Arabic also instrument, and so many instruments, la lute or laud, that we still use in the Caribbean, that came from Arabic instrument. So we have all that mingling in there, and that really redefines, when you go into the history, there is a wide complexity. It's more than just black and white. And that's why I don't want to continue with black and white. I want to really get deeper. That's why the use of Afro Descendants is more wide, it's more respectful.
And then at the end, we somehow have the influence of so many different cultures in Latin America, not only Africa, but other continents. Because
which
of
are
the conquest.
intertwined. They are intertwined.
Exactly.
If you, we talk about Europe. Europe has a strong African influence. Back and forth, we influence in each other. But we have to be clear that what have to persist in terms of culture in Latin America in the line is very African.
What do you think about Latinos, Afro descendants? Are we aware of that? I know if you are Afro descendant, you will know, but you will also not be sure because nobody told you, right? You have your skin is darker than the other Latinos, but you think, oh, I am from Cartagena, I am from Veracruz, I am from, different parts of Latin America. But now is that people is reclaiming their Afro descendants, like in Mexico, we have a lot of Black people, and they didn't call themselves Afro descendants, but now there is a movement that are trying to rescue and retake their roots. So what is about discrimination among us, among Latinos? Because I know sometimes, I don't know, Republic and Mexico, Puerto Rico, some people call you negro despectively, like just to offend. What do you think about that?
Basically, this is something that is there because we learned a racist language that we still use. For example, I see including lawyers talking about denigration, when that comes from the nigger. It's a racist word, but it's very intrinsic. The models, the language that we learn are raised. So I'm thinking always about Frantz Fanon, an incredible writer from Martinique, an Afro Martiniquense. He and his his student, one of his students who came to be a great writer, M. Cesar. I mean, they're talking about relating about how that form of life is very us, how, and that's something that really we have to start cleaning ourselves. But then you have a problem with the media. The media create a really distortion way of life in front of the people. And they ignore the existence of us. That happens in Mexico, in the movies, for example, from Mexico, in the movie from Argentina. Now you find this explosion, like Argentina, Afro-Argentinians claiming we're here also. We're Afro-Argentinians, and everywhere where it was denied the pride to be Afro-descendant. But definitely we're always clashing with prejudice among ourselves, as you mentioned, because there's very intrinsic way of life that have been.
Like you mentioned movies. I remember when I was little, when I was growing up, watching these movies portraying Black people as, servants. And a lot of suffering. I know they suffer, but you are raised in Mexico. In my case, you are raised to believe that Black people was always poor and ignorant. Right?
Let me tell you something.
That you have to help them and support them. Like, I mean, it's hard because you see that on TV all the time, on the movies.
Let me relate to you my personal experience as a theater person where I grew up in Puerto Rico with. my first professional play that was directed by this great woman, Mirna Casas. Never forget about her and many people in the University of Puerto Rico drama department. But she took me to earn my first big money in theater and to use my talents in professionally. But she arranged for an interview in a big newspaper that's called El Mundo, my first interview. And they asked me, what do you want to talk about? Well, the first thing that I said, people who are black people are just are not considered for main roles in theater, just for roles that are secondary or third roles or things like that, or servants or the friend of a servant or things like that, but they are not considered for main roles, and that's what came into the cap of the interview as a main thing, and it was very interesting that I was able to really approach that subject.
You spoke out,
yeah,
course,
and it's been, that's why maybe the diversity that I showed to be a theater technician, to be an actor, but also to do other things, because until there came place that it was more inclusive in terms of the subject. I did a lot of that work, and I was fortunate that it came through, because the theater plays that were more like soap operas, you wouldn't find a good role in that.
And talking about movies too, I think it's time for us to enjoy your music. I think you selected I'm pretty sure the audience is also eager to listen to your beautiful. Jorge sings, plays the guitar, plays the drums, he dances. Is so amazing, a multi-talented showman. What are you going to sing for us?
Well, this song is very related to what we're talking about. It's a lullaby. I'm going to have two lullabies. And let me just advise you that in a second lullaby, everybody has to sing, okay?
Perfect.
Okay. In this one, it's about the situation at home. Most of these lullabies come from that transition from the slavery into the being part of the society after the abolition of slavery, in which the Afro descendant didn't find the opportunity. We're still struggling. People are still struggling because whatever they were taken from them, we're not giving it back to them. Okay, all the huge fortune that all the people made with the work of the Afro descendant or with their ancestor never was given back. So we're still struggling there, and this is people who are struggling with the baby not having a good cradle for the baby, that we have the best for the baby. And this is what happens in this song. And actually, I invite Derek, who I gave a translation to, so maybe they can have a translation over there so people can understand.
If you want to, Derek, share the translation on the chat, that will be great. So.
Yeah. Okay. So this song is by Ernesto Grenet, attributed to Eliseo Grenet, his brother, mostly. And basically, it's a very known song in the Cuban composer, very known song in the Caribbean and in the world. And I remember I danced this song in a concert of Haciendo Punto Otro Son, which I choreographed with a great dancer, Cepeda, with our guitarist, Millito Cruz, a very known classic guitarist who played the classic version of it that you should find in YouTube, Drume Negrita. Okay, sleep, my little baby. Mamá, la negrita, se le salen los pies la cunita y la negra me dice, ya no sabe qué hacer. Tu drume negrita, que yo te voy a comprar la cunita que va a tener capité, que va a tener cascabel. Si tu drume yo te traigo un mamey muy colorado, y si no drume yo te traigo un babalao que da pau pau. Pero que tu drume negrita, que yo te voy a comprar la cunita que va a tener capité, que va a tener cacapé. Mamá, la negrita, se le sale los pies en la cunita y la negra me sé. Ya no sabe qué hacer. Y la negra me sé. Ya no sabe qué hacer. Y la negra me sé. Ya no sabe qué hacer. Ya no sabe qué hacer. Me metí. I got into it.
Qué bonito. Es una tarde calurosa. Today is really hot, but it's nice to be able to be here at the Cultural Center. By the way, we are at the Veronica Robles Cultural Center.
Beautiful place.
Sorry, I forgot
Beautiful
the microphone. I got excited. Well, we've been dealing with all these technical aspects of, we were talking about doing everything. So now I am a little relaxed now. But at the beginning, we were trying to figure it out, you know, the sound for you to enjoy the music and the connection. And so today we are here at Veronica Robles Cultural Center in East Boston. This is an old public building. Actually, it was the first branch of the first public library in the United States. The first one was in Boston, and the first branch was this building. So we are blessed to be here and today sharing it with you. Jorge, have you been ever discriminated against from anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me about one of those experiences?
Yeah, it's so many things.
Well,
let me try to remember. In many ways, but the most shocking discrimination I suffered here in Boston.
In Boston?
Yeah, in Boston. I was in the Boston Conservatory, and actually a very dear friend, African American, we were sharing a play. We were preparing for a representation of a scene of a play, A Racing in the Sun. Actually, it was a really, really profound play about this family that gets into a white community and how they were received and all the, the situation. And it was a powerful scene, actually. She was a great actress. She is. And I remember she suffered a racist attack by one of the classmates. And it was confronted in a really, I would say, in a very wise way by the teacher, Bobby Asapel, who was a great woman. with theater exercise, etc., until it exploded. They started crying. This woman started crying. I was impacted by all that, and the result of it is that my friend, even though he was apologized, etc., but she was so impacted that she left the Boston Conservatory.
Wow.
And that for me was really hard. All the things, for example, to be intervened by the police in a brutal way, I suffered that here. To be registered with no, illegally in front of Berkeley, because I was just running to see my friend. Who actually, he was in charge of the in Boston Conservatory of the technical department. He was bringing me up to get me some news. I ran to him to be able to be back for the show in Berkeley on time. The police started chasing me, and in front of Berkeley, they started registering me, and things like that, and that are really high.
And how did you react to that? Would just
Well,
quiet?
it was. I have to. I was not able to do anything at that point because they were armed. They were, more than two. They were, they will. I mean, something could happen to me. In the same way, a friend of mine, we were coming from church. I remember, is Afro Puerto Rican, and we were all close there in that car. We were coming from church, and just because he passed this. Cops had an African American, actually. They were going against him. Had him there. We were passing by. They took our friend and took him to the police station. Just handcuffed, and everything, because we were just trying to pass by.
Just because you were black.
Yeah, and actually, the one of the people who I was able to call a lawyer from mine. He went over there, and the person who was an African American was working there. He told us, "You have to report him because he's a racist." And it was so close, so many things. More than that discrimination here and there. You forget about it, but because you don't want to live with the trauma.
Yeah. So this is the same question that I'm gonna ask the people. What do you think, and what are your feelings at this moment where racism is now, at least, it's like there, it's showcased right now with the cruel reality. That's how it looks like.
Yeah.
And like for many people in this country. How do you feel about that? What do you think we can do to fix that as a community?
We have to come from Martin Luther King. He was able to bring everyone together, all the colors together, and that's when the struggle against racism gets really strong. And I can see that. For example, I was involved in the march in the last march in July the 4th with my daughter. We actually were playing drums with another fellow drummer and a sax player, having all this beautiful group in a truck supporting the march. And I was able to see myself how people from all colors were there, who from all shades were there, just defending the issue and getting the voice out there from Black Lives Matter, and really very, very sincere. And I see that growing. And that for me is very, very, very important at this moment.
The most important thing is that because sometimes we know the problem is there, but we don't address it. We don't talk about it. We don't really take action. And I think this is the moment for all of us to take action from our houses, from our family,
and everywhere,
and starting there, starting to make sure that we understand that we are humans.
Yeah.
And it's not about color. It's not about race. It's about humanity. And that's a very important point. And because I experienced discrimination against Black with my sister. My sister is not. It's what would you say? Trigueñita. It's morenita. Yeah. We call morenito to somebody that is not black, but is dark. And she was the only one we were 5, and she was the only one that came with a darker skin.
Yeah,
And so
brown color.
everybody in my family made fun of her because she was a little bit darker than us. And so I started suffering because she was my sister-in-law. I
Yeah.
love her. And she suffered discrimination for so many years, and that affected her. And so that's when I realized that there was discrimination in this world.
Yeah.
And then I had one aunt after 12. I have 12. My grandmother had 12 children, and 2 of them were darker than the rest of them. And also they were discriminated against, but because they were discriminated when they were little, they somehow discriminated to my sister, because they, like, that's why they learn from their environment. And that, I think that happens so many times with the people. That's what I was asking you about. If have you been, feeling that to somebody else as a Black person? I know you're not, because you're a sweet pie, but from your people, have you been discriminated against from Puerto Ricans Blacks, or from Dominicans Blacks, or from Mexican Blacks?
Yeah, I have suffered discrimination in Puerto Rico, and actually, but it's a different thing. It's a. I mean, you can treat it, you can confront it.
Yeah.
You can confront it, and it needs to be confronted. There's voices, more voices in Puerto Rico, more and more strong voices against discrimination. And one strong discrimination about people painting themselves, white people painting themselves in Puerto Rico of our color, which come from, an imitation of what they were doing in the 19th century during the Jim Crow law. The minstrels, they used to paint themselves just to present a distortion face of the African American. And you see that you continue to see that in every comedy program, on TV, including in soap opera. And I could see that where this character that became really famous, it was really a friend of mine and a great actress she's Afro-Puerto Rican. I mean, she's brown skin, let's say. And she won the audition, but then another woman who was white was taken for the role that came into TV, and she painted herself a black face. Okay, so that it became a distortion. In general, that happens a lot. I was able to voice out in our organization, the Union of Artists. She was there, and both of them were there. And I was able to voice out down in a meeting, a very important meeting, that shouldn't continue to happen. People painting the face of our color, when there was an Afro-Puerto Rican woman, called Black actress, there, and she was there actually, both of them, who was offered the role initially. I was able to voice that out. And continuously, you have to continue. You cannot stop. And one thing that you pointed out about being human beings, being treated as human beings, I remember reading, finding this great book of Radica Elizardo from Dominican Republic. He was a really investigator of our roots, from the Taino to the Africans, a great Afro-Dominican choreographer and writer, and very important person. In this book, he pointed out that race really come from racialization, come from animals. The animals are the ones that you can divide by races. But if that was incorporated into the human beings, and I believe during the trade from Africa, that's when it gets really incorporated as a race of people. Yeah.
Can we incorporate some of your drumming?
Yeah, we can incorporate that. Then we're getting excited here.
Yeah.
We have more with Roberto and Gloria, so we need to. Okay. So in this one, I want to ask you to sing a chorus. It's very easy. Oh, get it, oh, get it. Okay, everybody with me.
Okay.
I don't hear you. Oh, get it, oh, get it. You see, I make on the second O a little longer. Ogere is the name of a baby, and this song composed by another Afro-Cuban composer, Obdulio Morales. Basically, it's about this woman who wanted to continue working in order to feed her baby, and in general. Okay. So, and if Derek, if you want to share the translation, that'd be great. Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's do it. Jorge Arce, aquí con nosotros hemos estado hablando de la discriminación entre nosotros mismos, que a veces no nos damos cuenta que también somos un poco racistas y hay que cambiar
Bastante.
eso. Bueno, y aquí dice Jorge Arce.
Everybody. I don't hear you. Mi lindo querer. La campana a las 6 va a retocar para ti, y los negros notación va a rezar una oración. Pick the baby in your hands and arms and let's see. Oh, querer, mi lindo querer. Oh, mío querer. Oh, querer, oh, querer. Sing it to the baby, yeah. Oh, querer, oh, querer. Pero qué lindo, lindo, mi lindo querer. Oh, quiero, quiero, querer, oh, quiero, querer, mi oh, querer. Oh, querer, oh, querer. Sing it. Oh, querer, oh, querer. Mejor negro dormir, porque tengo que sufrir, y así termina el code para comprar un baraco. Oh, querer, mi lindo querer. Oh, 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 mío querer. Oh, querer, oh, querer. Oh, querer, oh. Pero qué lindo la cosa, mi lindo. Oh, querer, oh. Le traigo un canto si no se muere. Quiere, 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 que quiere, que quiere. Pero que quiere mi niño de Atocha, que quiere. Oye, 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 te traigo un canto si no se muere. Mi ojere, mi ojere, mi ojere, quiere, 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 que quiere, que quiere, que quiere, que quiere. Oh, mi ojere, mi ojere, mi ojere, oh, querer, oh, querer, oh, querer, oh, querer, oh, querer, querer, oh, querer. Dobre drume, mubilo, que tu mamá está en la campo mubilo, oh quereo,
¡Bravo! ¡Qué bonito! Yo me quería parar a bailar, pero anda en calcio. Okay, Jorge, now it's time to introduce Gloria and Roberto Cepeda. Gloria Cepeda es una activista, como ya lo había mencionado, es una gran educadora, ha dedicado su vida a educar a nuestros niños y bueno, también es una gran activista también dedicada de por vida a la preservación de las raíces afrocaribeñas acá en Estados Unidos y el resto del mundo a través de su proyecto Bomba H en compañía de su esposo, el maestro Roberto Cepeda. It's time to introduce Gloria Cepeda and Roberto Cepeda. I will introduce our community leader and activist, political activist. She is an educator dedicated to preservation of the African roots in USA and the rest of the world through the project Bomba H in the company of her husband, Master Roberto Cepeda. Mr. Roberto Cepeda es un gran maestro del folclore, considerado uno de los mejores bailarines de la bomba, el mejor, ¿verdad?, del mundo. Pertenece a la reconocida institución de folclore puertorriqueño de la familia Cepeda. Bueno, es una gran institución toda la familia.
Bien importante.
Su padre, don Rafael Cepeda, y su madre, doña Caridad Brenes, fueron los pioneros los que llevaron la bomba y la plena a los grandes escenarios a nivel mundial. Estamos hablando de una gran raíz de esta tradición. Roberto Cepeda is a master folklorist considered to be, Jorge said, is the best bomba dancer in the world. He belongs to the world-renowned Puerto Rican folklore institution, La Familia Cepeda. His father, Don Rafael Cepeda, and his mother, Doña Caridad Brenes, were the pioneers who took bomba en plena from Puerto Rico on stages and theaters all over the world. So they are here with us, and I'm going to ask Derek if they have them ready on camera so we can welcome them. And before we bring them on camera, I wanted to show this video of, so people, you know, we don't know here in the community what we have in our community, the treasures that we have in our community. This video is from Sesame Street, long time ago. I will invite you to watch this video. Les invito a ver este video que es de Sesame Street hace muchos años. No sabemos las joyas que tenemos aquí en nuestro vecindario. Vamos a ver el video antes de darle la bienvenida a estos grandes artistas.
Okay, everybody, let's do the bomba.
Bámbula ese allá, se está contigo nomás.
Bámbula ese allá,
conmigo es más.
bámbula ese allá,
Se está contigo nomás.
bámbula ese allá,
Con rico te voy a cantar.
bámbula ese allá,
Ese Roberto te va a bailar.
bámbula ese allá,
La bomba rica de Puerto Rico.
bámbula ese allá,
Se está contigo nomás. Ay, baila conmigo este racimán. Ay, baila que en el tambor. Qué lindo te va bailando. Y los muchachos te van cantando. Ay, se está contigo nomás. Ay, se está contigo nomás. Ay, baila conmigo este racimán. Ay, bámbula ese allá. Ay, bámbula ese allá.
Gee, that was really great. Well, what kind of dancing is that anyway?
Bomba dancing is a Puerto Rican dance that came from Africa. Not only do the people dance with each other, they dance with the drum. Watch.
Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, Macoso, que bailen los niños.
Bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños.
¡Bomba!
Oh.
bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. ¡Vamos! ¡Ahí está! ¡Ahí está! Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. ¡Bomba! ¡Ahí! Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. ¡Bomba! ¡Ahora, bolita! ¡Sentimiento! ¡Mucho caché! ¡Así no va! ¡Ahí! ¡Ahí! ¡Matica, matica! ¡Bomba! ¡Ahí! ¡Que bailen! Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. ¡Vamos! ¡Toma ahí! ¡Ahí! ¡Candela! Ahí. Comunica, comunica ahí. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los niños. Que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, que bailen los niños, baboso, que bailen los
Let's try it, okay?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. It's a Puerto Rican dance that's sort of African?
Yes, that's right. Come on, let's try it.
And not only do people dance with each other.
Yes, that's right. Come on,
but they also dance with the drum.
Yes.
Well, one more question.
What's that?
Well, why are we just standing here talking? Why aren't we dancing? Let's dance!
¡Que bailen los niños! Ahora sí, traigamos a don Roberto Cepeda y Gloria Cepeda. Derek, bring them on. Let's meet Roberto and Gloria. ¿Cómo están? No los escuchamos, no sé si tienen el micrófono, el audio en mute, pero mira qué colorido tan hermoso. Estamos tratando de esta tecnología todos aquí, pero con mucho amor. ¿No los escuchamos? Hello? So we're trying here with the technology. We can see you. Can you hear us? ¿Nos pueden escuchar ustedes? Sí, ellos nos escuchan, pero nosotros no los escuchamos acá. Derek, do you hear them? Can you hear them?
I can't hear them. We're trying to figure it out.
Okay, so yeah, so but they can hear us. So maybe they're on mute. Maybe
Doesn't look like they're on mute. Gloria or Roberto, can you say something for us? Ah, okay, cannot hear you. Try unmuting your other Cepeda hotline. Try unmuting that one. And then say something again. Can you unmute your other computer? All right, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Gloria and Roberto. Okay, you can hear me. I can't hear you. Oh no. Okay, so what about the computer that you're looking at right now? Why don't you unmute that one? So you're holding a phone and then try unmuting the computer. Yes.
okay.
Are you unmuting the computer? It's still on mute right now.
¿Puedes hablar, Roberto?
Cannot hear you. Are you able to type in the chat and tell me if you can unmute the Cepeda hotline computer, the one that is not being held, the one that is not an iPhone? Thank you everyone for your patience.
Hello, hello.
Ah! Okay, one second.
Yeah, you have to unmute.
Let's try it now.
Nos escuchan.
I hear an echo.
They have to mute one.
I muted one of them.
Okay.
So, is there another one?
Okay, we think we got the problem.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Let me turn it off. I hate to listen to me as an echo. It's not good. Okay, that's it. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Better. Great.
Much better, huh?
Roberto, ¿cómo
Ahora sí.
Roberto y Gloria.
El que tiene problemas soy yo.
Roberto, ¿qué significa traer en la sangre esa maravillosa...
¿Qué significa traer en la sangre?
Esa maravillosa herencia.
Tu maravillosa herencia. Mirando allá.
Bueno, esto es una cosa que cuando uno nace en esta tradición.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I'm still hearing some echo, but I think if you can remove the phone, take the phone, like just leave on turn the phone off.
Okay, ¿nos escuchan? Can you guys hear us now? Okay now?
I can hear you, but there is an echo. And I think it's because your phone is probably making noise.
Well,
so.
the person that is helping us over here said the echo doesn't come from this side.
Oh, it's not from...
No, one of the speakers you can mute one of the speakers, like there is...
They are muted. I think the issue is that your phone is probably making a sound. So I'm gonna try to remove your phone. 1 second. I wonder if I can do that. Okay, try speaking again.
Okay, Roberto. Ahí está.
Gloria, Roberto, can you say something?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that sounds better, I think. I think that sounds better.
Ahora sí, Roberto, lo siento que te interrumpimos. So, cuéntame, ¿qué se siente tener esa raíz en la sangre?
¿Qué se siente tener la raíz en la sangre?
¿Lo digo en español o lo digo en inglés?
como quieras.
Es un sentimiento cuando uno nace en esta tradición, es una cosa que lo lleva a uno a hacer muchas cosas, porque es un sentir de la vida y nos da una fuerza para seguir luchando, para mantener esta tradición y esta cultura. Y a la misma vez nos hace a nosotros, como puertorriqueños, sentirnos fuertes para luchar y seguir haciendo cosas hacia adelante para el futuro, para los niños de nosotros, para que ellos crean conciencia de esta música que llevamos nosotros en el corazón.
Roberto, tu mamá era caracterizada parte por la concentración, de la pasión, la cadencia que tenía, pero sobre todo esa concentración en la danza, y parece que tú heredaste esa parte. Cuando estás bailando y te concentras, ¿qué piensas?
Yo siempre he dicho que esto fue una bendición que me dieron a mí. Yo digo, cuando nací, cuando cuando tenía 3 o 4 años, mi papá, cuando murió mi abuelo, allá en San Juan, dijo, baila en la tumba de tu abuelo. Yo estaba un nene chiquito, yo en realidad pues no sabía. Soy yo llorando, bailé en la tumba de mi abuelo. Ya a los 5 años, pues fue como yo digo, empezó mi carrera. Empezó mi carrera en el Normandy, allá en San Juan, cuando estaba tocando mi padre con mis hermanos. Y entonces a mí me dio un sentimiento en el corazón y yo sentí una cosa tan fuerte que me llegó a mí. Y yo me puse a llorar. Y papi me dijo, pero ¿por qué tú lloras? Porque yo lo que estaba al lado del tambor, haciendo como unos movimientos aquí, para allá y eso. Yo quiero bailar. Yo digo, pero espérate, pues, tú no sabes bailar, porque ¿cómo que tú vas a bailar? No, y me puse a llorar. Y me entró un sentimiento tan fuerte que empecé a llorar, pero una cosa que no era de verdad como una realidad, era un sentimiento demasiado muy duro. Entonces mi padre habló con el maestro Ángel Fonfría, que era el que estaba en PR.
So he was just telling us that he started dancing when he was 5 years old. That's when he found out that he wanted to dance, and he danced on his grandfather tombstone. Roberto, ¿me escucha? And he traveled, ¿verdad, Jorge? Tú sabes un poquito más de la carrera de Roberto y la familia Cepeda.
I think we are having some connection issues with with Roberto and Gloria, but we'll try to get them back. Thanks everyone for being
Okay, all right. Y vamos a hablar de, ahorita se conectan. We are talking about bomba y plena. ¿Cuál es la característica de la bomba?
Bueno, la bomba básicamente es el género más antiguo. O sea, se conecta históricamente desde el siglo XVI, de la llegada de nuestros ancestros. Cuando eran dados tiempo libre, o sea, de su trabajo esclavizado como tal, le daban tiempo libre a los hacendados para que ellos se divirtieran y eso. Y de hecho a ellos no les permitieron originalmente traer sus tambores. Esos tambores de bomba fueron construidos en el Caribe. Son tambores caribeños, versiones de los tambores originales que usaban en África.
Y la familia de Cepeda, el abuelo, creo que fue el que empezó a crear estos tambores en Puerto Rico.
No, ya esos tambores estaban en versiones creadas.
Ya.
Creadas.
Pero se dedicaban como a hacerlo.
Ellos fueron heredando. O sea, estamos hablando, si estamos hablando del abuelo de Roberto, estamos hablando del siglo XIX. De hecho, que fue una época, pero estamos hablando de la bomba más atrás, o sea, de la semilla de la bomba del siglo XVI. Pasaron varios siglos. Pero el siglo XIX fue un siglo fuerte porque fue donde en el siglo, y eso está en el libro Esclavos Rebeldes de Guillermo Baralt, documentado, donde se encontraron que todas las revueltas de esclavizados en contra de sus amos, que fueron dirigidos por recién llegados esclavizados de África, que no hablaban el español como aquellos que ya estaban en Puerto Rico por muchos años, o que venían de varias generaciones, y que hablaban otro idioma, porque recuérdate que los africanos representan diferentes familias, diferentes tribus mezcladas para que no se pudiesen comunicar. Entonces, obviamente, por eso se encuentra que en la bomba y en los tambores, en diferentes partes del continente, se encuentra que lo usaban como punto de comunicación también. Por eso que existe esa comunicación con la bomba, el barril y el bailador y la bailadora, realmente. Y se está claro de que en esa revuelta fueron documentadas, todas se dieron durante baile de bomba, las planificaciones de la revuelta en el siglo XIX.
Con la música.
Con la música, el tambor, la comunicación. Y de hecho es bien interesante, y eso lo estaba hablando precisamente en una visita que Gloria y Roberto nos hicieron acá en Boston, como lo que yo venía sospechando hace tiempo, por ejemplo, este movimiento que hacemos en la bomba, pues nosotros hacemos eso, ¿qué significa? Esto es, o le llaman body language. Yo no sé, ¿a mí qué? A mí no me importa, puede significar esas tres cosas. Definitivamente, Gloria me decía, por ejemplo, me está explicando el vestido, cuando se hace el vestido hacia afuera, tú te vas por allá y tú te vas por acá. Que era parte de la que yo me imaginaba del lenguaje que usaban durante las planificaciones de revuelta.
Claro.
También. Porque definitivamente se documentaron que dentro de esos bailes fueron planificadas esas revueltas.
Derek and Lily, do you think we can take this opportunity to take some questions of the audience?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And yeah, I reached out to Gloria and Roberto. Unfortunately, I think there was a connection issue on their end, but Veronica, I don't know if you have a better way to contact them to see if they're okay and everything's okay for them. But yeah, we can definitely take this opportunity to do some questions.
Yeah, maybe, and we will find out. Do you have any idea when that video was taken, the Sesame Street, 70s? Or
Maybe
80s?
70s.
Yeah, around
70s.
late 70s.
Él era bien
80s,
joven.
Right? Yeah.
Él era bien
yeah.
joven. Estaba ya, todavía estaba en sus 30, posiblemente no 40, pero él era bien joven. Yo creo que eran los 70. Sí, pero hay que preguntarle a él.
Sí, hay que ojalá se puedan conectar, pero vamos a un Q&A a ver si podemos obtener algunas preguntas de las personas. Una de ellas era lo del video. So I hope some of you have some questions for us, for Jorge, and also if you want to answer the question of what what would you do if you had the opportunity to change the unfortunate situation about what's going on right now with the police and the this outrageous violence against
Yeah.
the people, the black people especially, because the rates are really high.
Yeah.
I mean, numbers don't lie, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that has been going on for over and over for all the time. So that will be my question to you if you're watching. What would you do? What are you doing if you're not doing anything yet? And what do you think we can all do to change this? But something that is real, that we can really take action on. I would like to hear that from the people that is watching right now. So what would you do, Jorge,
What would you if?
to change this? Like an actual an actual thing. What would you do? What
Well,
would
education is important to continue educating people and to get involved the young generations who are willing to do the job and try to be. I mean, you find out that there are people reluctant to change. There's people reluctant to change, and that's a danger. But there's other people who come from those groups that are willing to make a difference, do something else, to do something different than their parents that were doing or were believing at. And we need to take advantage of that. In some way, we need to try to distract people from whatever the media is doing sometimes to distract us from the truth. We need to bring the alternative, like this program. This program is an alternative. So we need to, like you're doing, is producing alternative to people, like we have been doing for many years. Gloria, Roberto have been doing. We, many people, their family, Jesus Cepeda is still in Puerto Rico and traveling, also doing the same thing. I mean, just showing that this is what we have. It's important to learn it. It's important to respect it. In the same way, every tradition from every cultural group has to be respected.
Yeah. So I think we have somebody and waiting.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Oh, sure. I think obviously, so what would you do if you had the opportunity to change the current situation? I think in a perfect world, I would start with education and make sure that like access to education about different cultures is much more widespread than it has been in the past. If you think about the kind of history and the cultures that we teach young people and children, I don't think that it's comprehensive. I don't think it's diverse or inclusive. Which is why it was so great to see that Sesame Street clip and why I was like, what year is this from? Like, I hope for more of that. I think from the younger you're exposed to people of other cultures, backgrounds, languages, traditions, I think that just like opens up your world so much. And I think like in terms of like the current situation with police violence and brutality and murder, I think that like people are often super overwhelmed when it comes to this issue, especially if they're just learning about it. But what I've been trying to do in my practice is just like self-educate, read a lot, attend talks, read books, do things of that nature. And then also just think about what are the skills that I have that I can offer up free of charge for people who need those skills. So like I'm a writer and I can copy edit and proofread things, and that might seem like a not very like powerful skill on like a macro scale, but I think on a micro scale, like I always try and pay it forward with my skills and say, hey, does anyone need a resume edited? Does anyone need a manuscript looked at? So I think self-education and also just thinking about the skills that you might have acquired through your own privilege and education that other people you could provide access to those skills for other people who could really use it now and in the future. So those are some of my thoughts, but thank you both for listening, and thank you, Veronica, for facilitating, and Jorge for your music. It's really an honor to be here. So
Oh, thank you for
Thank
your
you. Thank
answers,
you.
and I will take your word, and I will accept your volunteer this volunteer offer for the Veronica Robles Cultural Center that we've been working for 22 years here in Massachusetts, creating programs for the children and the youth to learn about their own traditions, but also mentoring girls from other countries, other ethnicities like African American and Irish girls to learn about Latino cultures so they can understand a little bit better, you know, their neighborhoods, and it's been very successful. So yeah, let's talk about it. I would love to have you join Veronica Robles Cultural Center board or committee or any other, you know, working group so we can continue to this education, you know, opportunities for everyone. Thank you, Jorge. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yo quería añadir algo. Just thinking about what she was mentioning. We were talking about the theme that's great. We need to really promote more group conversation. Sometimes when we're in group or we're in family, we are reluctant to talk about issues like this because we want to just distract ourselves and relax, etc. While those things continue to happen. So it's very important to get more into group discussion among families, among friends, now that we have a little more opportunity to come a little closer, even in the distance, but to create that conversation. Now it's an opportunity so we can, as she mentioned, keep auto-educating ourselves in groups, keep and you know, suggesting books that we need to read or an opportunity to listen to someone through Zoom or through whatever about these subjects that are more and more important.
And participating, I don't know if you know, but the mayor just opened a new area in the city hall that is going to be called the Inclusion and Equity Department. And it's going to be a wide promotion and talking about how we all can help to create this plan so Boston is more inclusive. And soon there will be more information about it. So I'm giving you heads up. So I think this is the moment. This is the moment where we all can participate and make this change happen. Because sometimes we think we can't do anything, but we actually can. With a phone call, with an email, with participating in groups like this, and getting involved in your community, in your city hall, with your city mayor, and with the officials. So I think anything that we can do, and we can, you know, the time we can offer to these kind of activities is amazing, and it's great, and it's a big part of that change to make it happen too. So muchísimas gracias.
Just so you know, Lily is on the phone with Gloria and Roberto, and we're just figuring out how to get them back into the call. I do have another question that was sent to us if we want to spend another minute doing Q&A. How do you see the role of art in this moment of cultural change, art and music?
Yeah, no, art very important. Art is a very important. It's a tool for change. I mean, for me, it's not only this moment. I've been using the arts for many years, precisely to promote this discussion. I have one of the shows, the Afro-Caribbean workshop. It's called like that for schools, or Afro-Caribbeño. I've been taking that to theaters, universities, examining 2,000 years of history, and it's a show in which people participate truly. They laugh, they enjoy, they discover that maybe they can play instrument, they can play, they sing, but through a scheme or through a structure very of history. And then at the end, when they after the show, when we take some minutes for them to reflect, they realize that this is very important, and it's been going on for years and years and years and years. All the projects that I've been doing in school are anti-racist projects. Actually, I was given in far back to, it was 1992. I was given the Rice Longo Award for Right Rice's work everywhere. Right at that point, 1992, people were noticing the work that I was trying to do in bringing all these issues that we're talking right now, that we are experiencing right now. I mean, it's been on and on. It's a work that I've been doing. So it's nothing new. And for me, but it's important to be continued. It's important that young generation take over of the work that we have been doing and expand it and expand it. That's pretty important. And art is the best tool.
Right now, I think art, as always, is relevant because I always say that without art, we as humans beings, we wouldn't know who we are and where we started. Because
where we come from.
We come from because only art is the one that is telling the stories. You know, that's why we know who we are and where we're coming from. So right now is the moment where art needs to be used as a powerful tool to tell stories and to make things happen.
That's why we need support.
This is, but right now, as you say, Jorge, and there's people like us that we've been always doing this, but there's not a lot of venues for us to do our work because, you know, I think we need to push more so other outlets like the big those outlets that get to more people are also available to artists like Jorge and Roberto, who are bringing that heritage that tells a story. That tells a story that is relevant right now. And that's why it is important that keeping the traditions alive, because traditions, I always say that traditions that brings people together and highlight the values of respect are the traditions that we have to keep. And who are the carriers of those traditions? Those are the Native Americans from all over the continent, the Native Africans. So our people from the very beginning, their values were to take care of each other, to respect elders, right? To take care of their community. So those are the values that art can remind the people, you know, to and foster and share it and showcase it in more different places.
And we balance the world. We balance the world. I remember the work, the effort of Don Rafael Cepeda to keep expanding that tradition. Petra Cepeda and Doña Caridad, obviously, and Petra Cepeda, my sister, I'll never forget about her, and who was a mother for many dances that exist now in Puerto Rico. Roberto, who was another mother for many dances, you know, his brothers, so all the whole family, each piece of that family. I remember, you know, how important they became to give us the alternative to survive. But they represented to us in every community, seeing them, seeing the Ayala family, that is all the family. I mean, it's like I remember Tito Ayala, who has been also with all been boss with Roberto, used to travel with him the world also with and Tito just left this country today. He went back to live to Puerto Rico, and I took him to the airport, and I said to myself, wow, we're losing a very important person, but it's important that he's there now. But I remember Tito, he was a child, he was in the theater, and he inspired me to see him in the theater with the National Ballet Company. And Tito had been living in here in a neighborhood for many years. Nobody knew that he danced for the Queen Elizabeth. The same as Roberto, the same as the Ayala family, the same as the Cepeda family. They have been very important people for many years, and who represented us in the whole world. And that's something important for the young generation to know. What are the values that we have? And in a way, you know, what they have done is still, now you can see the results, you can see, how do you say, you can see what the young generation have picked up from them and where they're coming through and with in terms of the tradition. What you happening now in Puerto Rico is amazing everywhere, but it was thanks to that work of the Cepeda family, Rafael Cepeda, Doña Caridad, all that beautiful family, along with some other families in Puerto Rico, you know.
Yeah, and the arts can be presented by anybody. You don't have to be like an artist, or you don't have to be like a, you know, dedicated to the art, but you can create art, you can get inspired, you can at this moment of time, if you have the opportunity to explore anything that makes your voice, you know, amplify about that what you're feeling right now, it is important for everybody to listen to. And you are important. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are there watching us, you have to express yourself, and art is the best way to express our feelings. And it could be anything. It could be through painting, it could be from writing. Nothing is right or wrong. All you have to do is express your feelings, because that way you can visualize the problem, and eventually you can find a solution, right? You can gather together with your community and do rounds of poetry. Maybe somebody make a rhythm, maybe out of the nowhere, and that it's an exercise that we should all practice, because not only will help us to cope with the situation, because we are all right now going through a very difficult time. There's people like us that we are, you know, enthusiastic, but deep inside we are hurt, and we are really, you know, going through a painful moment. But there's other people also that they don't know how to express that sentiment. So art is a powerful tool of healing too. And I invite you, whoever is watching, if anybody's watching, that just you know, experience any music, any, you know, just like going, making some rhythm, writing, painting on the air. I mean, use art to go through this very difficult moment and express yourself. What do you think, Jorge?
Well, I agree with you completely, especially, you know, as a tool for balance, for enriching people's lives, for promoting humanness, for promoting the beautiful values that we need to have. is is an anti-war tool. We can call it like that.
And
it's not about destroying each other. It's about bringing people together.
yeah, and I'm feeling sorry for not being able to share, you know, more of Roberto and Gloria, but perhaps we can try to see if we can record something, and eventually we can share it with everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Lily. Just on that note, I was on the phone just now with Gloria and their helper, and I unfortunately they had some connection issues and they were not able to rejoin, but they told me to give you their love, and that they will find a time to reschedule with you separately.
Well, we will make it. Unfortunately, that this is, you know, the reality of internet.
Yeah,
not everywhere we have a good signal.
Yeah, it would be great because he was just standing before the disconnection, talking about a beautiful story. It's a beautiful. It's amazing. I have listened to that story before, but it's such a beautiful story. How when he started dancing, when he was a child, he was respected. He was given an opportunity by his father. He didn't ask you, would you like to dance? No, he let him go. He was very emotional when he felt he was starting crying. He felt, I want to dance, daddy. And you know what to do. Well, he went out there, and since then, Roberto has been. You saw that video with Sesame Street. It might be in the 90s, I think, early 90s, late 80s, because I remember Pleneros de la 23, that was a group was formed by them. 70s. I think he was still in Puerto
90s?
Rico. I think so, and 80s, yeah. But it's beautiful. But he was in shape. He was incredible. And that package that he inherited in his blood, that you don't cannot explain to yourself how that can happen with a child 4 years old or 5 years old dancing the way he was dancing. I saw a picture of him at that age. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Well, so we will find a way to be able to present his work and to the audience that didn't have the opportunity to see them today. But thank you everyone for watching. We apologize for the inconvenience. We, Jorge and I, we were by ourselves right here dealing with all aspects of the technical, aspects of the presentation. And thank you to Derek and Lily for this opportunity of Club Cafe Arts. I hope everybody supports their work and all the work that everybody is doing to continue with the arts, right? Because right now we suffer. I mean, we are one of the areas in the society that has suffered the most. Most of us lost our all our gigs, our concerts, but we're still here and we're still working for a better society to make sure that our art puts a little bit of good in people's hearts. And before we leave, I would like to tell you a story about how the power of the art works. I was in a wine mountains in New Hampshire because that's what we do. We are teaching artists, and I perform for people that are predominantly white in the white neighborhoods, and because they are interested in learning about our work, our cultures. And so I went to this a tour. I toured schools in different regions of Laconia. And then at the end, I was ending with a big concert for the community. And so the kids were the ones who brought their parents, because their parents, oh, that's, I don't know that culture. I'm not interested. I don't. But the kids, are the ones that come with me. I want to see her because they had so much fun with us. So there's this gentleman, that's why it is important that you don't judge or you don't have those prejudice. And so this gentleman, he's very white, the one that you might think that, oh, he hates Latinos, he might not like Latinos, right? Because we are also, sometimes we prejudge people. So he's here, he's with his two kids, watching my concert, and I have this connection with my with my audience, and I sing to them in Spanish, and they love it, and they're listening and participating just like you. And then at the end of the show, this guy comes in and he's like crying. He's like, "Thank you so much. I never seen anything like this in my life. Thank you for bringing it to my town. I would never had the opportunity otherwise to see something like this, and to my children to be, so they are exposed to this beautiful music. I don't understand what you're saying, but it's beautiful. Thank you. So this is the power of the arts. Now he's interested to learn more about it. Now the next time he told me the next time I see something like this, I'm gonna definitely go and take my children. And this is the power of art. So I would like just to end with that beautiful story, and that I will always keep in my heart and in my spirit and in my mind.
That's really
Jorge, no sé si tú quieres decir algo.
Just to support what you're saying, arts moves beyond languages, barriers, just any wall, it can trespass anything. Arts, you can bring people together. Really can bring people together.
And so thank you, Lily and Derek, for this opportunity, and to the audience that participated with us. And I don't know if we want to play a little bit of, so we can leave the people with some music. Gracias, Derek. I don't know if you want to say something, Lily. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's always a little bit, you never know what you're going to get with these Zoom performances, but I feel so grateful to both of you for being so open and rolling with the show and being so vulnerable with us and giving us so much wisdom. I feel so grateful to have taken that all in. Jorge, your performance was unbelievable. Veronica, I can't thank you enough for putting this event together. Even though everything didn't go exactly the way we planned, I still feel like it was an amazing experience. And I'm so excited to continue to see your work, to see both of your work. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone who stayed with us through the technical difficulties.
Thank you. Really proud to be here. Proud to be here.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Woo!
And we perform and we dance and we sing, but this time we wanted just to talk about our feelings and express, you know, this very moment and share it with you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
you.
you.
You have a wonderful
Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of Sunday.
Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, casi te ahorco.